Hey everybody, I've got a very special pressing comparison for you today because we're going to be looking at every CD pressing of what might be the greatest melodic death metal album ever. I'm talking about the 1997 debut by Intestine Baalism and Anatomy of the Beast. Let's get to it. For those unfamiliar with Intestine Baalism, they're a melodeath band from Japan that formed in 1991 as Euthanasia before changing their name to Intestine Baalism in 1994. When I'm talking about melodic death metal, I'm talking about both melodic shred and moments of beautiful contemplative melody that are weaved into aggressive, old-school death metal. I'm not talking about the verse-chorus proto-metalcore stuff that came out of the Gothenburg scene. This is the real deal stuff that will appeal even to brutal and old-school fans that don't like mellow death, not unlike Vehemence. I believe I have every official CD pressing of every Intestine Baalism release, but there's one particular album we'll focus on today. But first, here's a brief musical history. Intestine Baalism released a demo in 1995, and then in 1997 they dropped this, the gem of collector gems, the original pressing of their debut full-length An Anatomy of the Beast that was released by Spanish label Repulse Records in February of that year. This was the label that Dave Rotten from Repulse ran before he dissolved Drown Productions, but before he founded Extreme Music. Before we go in depth about this one, I'll also mention that Intestine Baalism put out a similarly incredible sophomore album, Banquet in the Darkness, in 2003. Note the expanded artwork for the Sewer Rot press. Then they released their third and so far final album, Ultimate Instinct, in 2008. The band are still active now, but mostly for occasional live appearances. They're incredible live too, by the way. Here's me with them before they played Netherlands Death Fest. But now let's talk about An Anatomy of the Beast. This original pressing is the gold standard. The 9 tracks on this in the original layout are what we'll compare the later pressings to. The cover art was by Joe Pategno, apologies if I said that last name incorrectly, who is also responsible for classic covers by Abhorrence, Angel Corpse, Autopsy, Volst, Incantation, Chrysian, Sepsism, Vader, Vital Remains, and even Motorhead. The cover is green with some subtle, almost yellow accents. The silver of the logo and album title almost shimmer. You can see the name Intestine Baalism showing through the tray window on the tray card. The back cover is simple with a blurry ultra zoom in of part of the cover. The disc has a stark black and green contrast and only features an enlarged version of the band's logo. The front of the tray card has a zoom in of the demonic woman that looks somewhat like legs and a cockpiece for that demon figure on the cover. The back of the booklet insert includes recording and layout information and a band photo in silver ink. The 8-panel booklet includes lyrics, but what makes it especially special is that it includes 3 original art pieces by Kirk, the ossuary. Overall, it's a great package with a striking green layout with silver accents. An Anatomy of the Beast has thus far been reissued 5 times on compact disc. Due to how difficult it is to obtain the original Repulse pressing, it can be helpful to know which reissue you should pick up. So it's important to figure out how well does each of these reissues compare to the original. In 2003, it was reissued by English label Black End. In 2005, it was reissued by Russian label CD Maximum. My label, Sewer Rot Records, then reissued it in 2022, 2023, and this year, 2026. I've reissued it on cassette and vinyl too, but today we're focusing on the CD pressings. I'll try to be as objective as possible despite being biased, but hopefully you can tell that this is an album important to me, so it's important to me that it is done justice. For each of these, I'll rate them into different tiers for quality. The OG is incredible, it's definitive. Let's go ahead and put that Repulse pressing in the S tier, the top tier. Next up is the 2003 Black End pressing. Right away we can see some differences in the cover. It's darker. The lush greens of the Repulse press have been dimmed to a murky swamp green. The biggest offense here though is that the cover is cropped. The top and bottom border of the painting are less visible, with the bottom completely cut off, and the album title goes all the way up to the edge and is also partially cut off too. The back of the tray card replaces the creative font of the OG with a straightforward, regular font. They also used a zoom in of the cover, but from a different section. The disc has removed the band logo and album title font with more standard text and another zoom in of the cover, which is the same part used on the back of the tray card. Underneath the disc, we find that same zoom in image a third time. When we look over the back of the insert, it has the same zoom in a fourth time. None of the recording information or band photos are included here. Instead, they've only typed the track list again. It's not very exciting and it just feels lazy. When opening the insert, it becomes immediately apparent that the previous 8-panel booklet has been replaced with only 4 panels. Worse yet, the lyrics and the artwork by Kirk are nowhere to be found. All the inside of the insert includes is a list of other Repulse albums that Black End reissued. It's clear corners were cut, and worse yet, they replaced the lyrics and additional artwork with advertisements for their own label. This is a horrible example of a reissue. It cut up the artwork, it messed up the colors, and then lazily repeats the same image a total of 5 times. How do you not even include the recording information for the album? That feels like the bare minimum requirement for a physical pressing, but I understand why the person that created the layout didn't credit themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the F tier. Don't spend your hard-earned money on this press. Next up was the 2005 press by Russian label CD Maximum. This one largely used the same template as the Black End press. The cover is that same darker green. It has the same excessive cropping. This time the border of the top and bottom of that original painting are cut off. The back has the same zoom-in image in basic font. The disc follows the same template format with the repeated image, except it does include some Russian writing around the edges. The inside of the tray card is the same, with the exception of a small advertisement added for the second Intestine Baalism album, Banquet in the Darkness. The back of the Russian insert provides lineup information, unlike the Black End press, so it already has a small step over that one. Thankfully, the booklet is also massively improved over the Black End pressing. All of the lyrics are included in the booklet, which is an 8-panel insert like the original Repulse press. Strangely, this pressing also doesn't include any of the recording information or even give credit to the cover artist. It thankfully, though, did bring back the lyrics, but it's still missing the band photos and the additional artwork by Kirk the Ossuary. I'm going to put this in the D tier since it at least gave us the lyrics. Next up was my first attempt at reissuing it, which was the first reissue I ever did with Sewer Rot Records. It was the 13th CD that Sewer Rot put out, which came out in 2022. The first noticeable difference is that the silver accents have been replaced with yellow ones. I did this intentionally as a nod to the original 2012 vinyl press by German label Metal Inquisition Records, which used yellow instead of the silver for the band logo and album title. I also wanted to elevate the reissue by including additional artwork for it to get away from repeating the cover image over and over for each part of the layout. So I created an original acrylic painting that expanded on the demonic themes of the original cover by Joe. For those unfamiliar with me, I've created logos and artwork for many different bands, and I've included original artwork on a number of Sewer Rot releases too. I replaced the blurry background graphic on the original Anatomy cover with a portion of my original painting. I specifically wanted to use the painting for the back cover instead of using an ultra zoom of the cover like Repulse Records did. I used the simple font for the track list, but kept the font from the original for the album title. Originally, I was going to call the collection of Sewer Rot reissues the Sewer Rot Vault Collection, but I think I only ended up using that Vault logo on 1 or 2 Sewer Rot releases. I did use a zoom in of the cover for the CD, but I also included the track list and yellow accent rings. I brought back the original logo, album title, and of course included my own label's logo too. This was a similar format I used for a number of Sewer Rot releases. The inside of the tray card includes a zoom-in of the new painting that depicts demonic figures alongside some xenomorph-esque monstrosities. The back of the booklet is black, but avoids copying and pasting either artwork again. This is the first CD reissue that actually included all of the recording and artwork information. The actual booklet is 12 panels, which is 4 more than the original Repulse Records pressing had. The lyrics were included for each track. I used the new painting as the background for each page of that booklet. On the last page is a dedication and a sharing of gratitude from me and the rest of the Sewer Rot team for being entrusted to reissue Intestine Baalism's debut masterpiece. I think this reissue is a step up from the Black End and CD Maximum reissues since it includes all of the recording information, all of the lyrics, additional artwork, and an expanded booklet, But reissues are often desecrating something sacred when the colors are changed, like I did from the silver to the yellow, and this reissue is still missing that additional artwork for Kirk the Ossuary, so I'll put the 2022 Sewer Rot reissue in the B tier. The next Sewer Rot Records reissue came out in 2023. There was still a lot of demand for the album, and I never like disappointing people, and there's nothing I hate more than seeing releases I've put out sell for ridiculous amounts of money by scalpers on Discogs. So I put out the album again. My friend Barrett, that owns the legendary label Severed Records, a label that's been around since 1997, reached out to me and told me that An Anatomy of the Beast was an album that meant a lot to him too. From here we decided to collaborate and put out another reissue of the album. For this one I wanted to be more faithful to the original Repulse pressing. I returned to the silver accent color for the band logo and the album title. I aimed to create a color scheme more similar to the original press, but it's always hard to tell how accurate the colors are until the discs are actually in your hand. And each printer can differ in their printer's saturation, so the 2023 Sewer Rot and Severed press has a darker green color scheme. My original artwork is still subtly in the background, but I removed all the yellow from the original painting to be more consistent with that color scheme. The back is largely the same as the last Sewer Rot pressing, except with the updated color scheme and the addition of the Severed logo. The same goes for the disc artwork, except now around the edges I included the release information for both Sewer Rot and Severed. This was CD number 22 for Sewer Rot Records and number 446 for Severed. The inside of the tray card was the same. The recording and layout information is largely the same, except you'll notice one addition. The original artwork by Kirk the Ossuary is back. I also added a zoom in of my own painting in the background. The booklet is once again 12 panels, but I fully restored all 3 of the original artworks by Kirk. This 2023 Sewer Rot press was the first time those paintings appeared in any pressing since the original. I think this is a really strong reissue. It has everything the original had, but with a longer booklet and additional artwork. But I think there's still room to improve, so I put this in the A tier. My next reissue came out in 2026, only a few weeks ago. When I was thinking about reissuing Anatomy on CD a third time, there was one thing that was really important to me. I really wanted to do an edition that stays true to the original, not only in its original design, but also just the spirit of the original, how I feel when I look at it. The first thing that I felt like only the original captured was that there was a shimmer to the silver of the original pressing. I couldn't capture that with regular printing techniques, so I decided the next edition would use a foil imprint process to really make that silver shine, even more so than the original Repulse pressing. I teamed up with my friends at the Metalhead Box to bring my vision to life, and they did an incredible job. I also wanted to get a lusher green like the original press, so I worked painstakingly trying to get the color of the green right. I still missed it, but I really like the lush green that I chose far more than any of the other reissues, and it looks fantastic with the silver foil logo and album title. That contrast is awesome. I also wanted to use the original background instead of my alternate painting, but my issue with the original background was that it was blurry, even on that original press. So I decided to meticulously remaster and recreate the background myself in higher definition than even that original cover had. I also expanded the edges of the album cover to really emphasize how great Joe's original cover was and to avoid any possibility of cropping it. I wasn't going to let any section of that cover, even the corners, get butchered in any way. So the 2026 Sewer Rot press has a larger cover than even the original Repulse press. It really gives the original cover, logo, and album title room to breathe. I'm really proud of how it turned out. I also wanted to bring back the original Intestine Baalism name peering through the tray card window, but this is the only part where I'm not fully satisfied because I made a mistake. I did bring back that same band name in the same font, but I accidentally put it on the fold instead of the window of the tray card. You can still see it, but you have to tilt the jewel case to the side to see it. It drives me crazy that I made this mistake, but it's still kind of a cool Easter egg there in the tray card fold if you turn the album at the right angle. It's especially striking when you look at it from the inside of the jewel case. The back of the tray card I also wanted to keep faithful to the original, so I brought back the original font for the track list instead of using an easily readable font like all of the other reissues. I still don't like the blurry ultra zoom in of the cover artwork on the back of the original tray card, so here I used my original painting for the back of that tray card. I've also expanded and given my death metal library a co-label credit, as I'm really proud of what I've done with this, and I'd like to credit this album as a first in a series that I will do that really shows what I'm about musically, that will include anything that doesn't fit within the Sewer Rot umbrella. But yeah, I guess it's kind of a co-release between myself and myself. Inside, I wanted to keep things similarly faithful with the disc layout. I tried blowing up the logo like the Repulse press, but I didn't like how that looked, but I felt inspired by the simplistic, stark contrast of the original disc, so I decided to also create a disc layout with stark contrast. All of the logos are there alongside the album title, but I also added one of Joe's demons as a little accent. Release information is available around the edges of the disc, along with the message, "Keep supporting death metal, buy physical." My favorite part about this disc is that instead of using another color, like the green of the Repulse press, I used transparency. The silver of the disc shimmers through where each of the logos are present. Move the disc around a little bit in the light and you get that iridescent shimmer, and it looks incredible. I love when CDs integrate that transparency into the artwork. Just to give you an example, just like what Sickness did with their 1995 Ornaments of Mutilation album. The inside of the tray card I kept faithful to the original press with the zoom in of the demonic woman. I still have the recording and layout information on the back of the booklet, but I brought back the original band photos in all their silver color scheme glory. They're a little brighter on the Sewer Rot press compared to the Repulse press, and I replaced the blurry ultra zoom in of Joe's cover painting for the background with some of the elements from my own original painting. The insert booklet has 12 panels like the other Sewer Rot pressings, which is still 4 more than the original Repulse press. All of Kirk the Ossuary's original artworks are still in there too. The background color scheme has been adjusted to fit the brighter green colors of the new layout. I did sneak in one band photo from the era that wasn't in previous pressings too. I also included a full biography of the band and their discography on the final page of the booklet. So that's my most recent reissue of Anatomy of the Beast, and I feel like it's the best reissue by far. It has expanded artwork, it's faithful to the original, includes additional artwork and photos, and a biography was added. I think that the foil logo and album title bring it up to a whole nother level and make it worth buying a physical copy of it, even if you own the original. This version will be a real collector's gem because of that foil, and I'm really proud of it. There are other ways I like to elevate reissues, like including demo tracks and classic flyers from that era, but bonus tracks aren't possible on Anatomy due to rights issues, but you'll find bonus tracks and flyers in the layouts of other reissues I've done, including Spasmy, Victims of Internal Decay, and Mortiscold. Given the constraints of reissuing an Anatomy of the Beast, I think this is just about as good of a reissue as can be made for this album. If I could do another, I'd move their name back to the tray card window and really nail that original aesthetic. That's the one change I would make. It's an album that's really important to me, and with each attempt I get at reissuing it, I try to make it a physical version worthy of Intestine Baalism's legacy and worthy of your hard-earned money. There's always room to improve, but I think this is the first reissue that I'd put right up there with the original Repulse Records press S tier. The original will always be incredible, but if you don't own it, or even if you do, I think the 2026 Sewer Rot Records pressing is well worth picking up. The foil logo and iridescent disc make it a great display piece too, so I hope you enjoy it. So those are my thoughts. So I certainly have some bias because I've got a personal stake in this since I've done a few of these reissues now. But if you think I got it wrong, if you think I did not assess these well, you can let me know in the comments. I promise I won't be offended. And for those asking, yes, absolutely, this will get reissued on vinyl and tape again as well. Hang in there, be patient. Don't pay Discogs prices. Don't do that. That is not the way to do it. If you want anything to happen to any of these reissues, you can let me know in the comments too. We've heard your demands, and eventually I hope to fulfill them. And so keep it brutal, keep supporting physical media, and I will see you next time.